Hi everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and I'm back once again with another review. Continuing G.I. Joe Renegades week, dedicated of course to my personal friend Justin Bell, which reminds me it's time for your next Justin Bell fact. As we all know, Justin just built a palatial estate in a remote corner of Vermont. What we didn't know was that it was built using a giant linking log set. Seriously, that's how they build their houses out there. I mean, it's just one step above from having to chop down the trees themselves. Today, we will be taking a look at Scarlett from the Renegades line. Um, this figure is actually going to probably end up being historically important to the G.I. Joe line because she was the first mass release retail figure for G.I. Joe to feature the rocker ankles. But we'll get into that. As you can see, it has a animated visage on the side, and on the back you have the bio and cross cell. Interesting to note that while in the cartoon she was a higher ranking officer than Duke, but acquiesced to his commands and ideas during the run of the series. I doubt that would be something that would happen in real life. Well, let's move on and take a look at the figure. And here's Scarlett. As you can see, she comes with her traditional crossbow weapon, as well as one of the what's now being called the Renegades blasters. I should note that this is much smaller than the pistol that came with Duke. Well, actually, Duke came with several, but they're all much smaller than this. I guess you can say this would be the Beretta or 22 version of the pistol, while Duke had the 45. Whatever. Uh, I would say this is the second best crossbow made for Scarlett in the G.I. Joe line. The first being the one she had in Rise of Cobra that could break down into two parts and be stored on her holster. The bow part is removable, and I have heard some people having a hard time keeping it on. Mine is staying on fine and it clips into place well. But you may want to use a little dab of super glue or the included rubber band, clear rubber band that was wrapped around it, which I think might have also led to the issues of this figure being able to stay, the bow being able to stay in one piece. Let's take a look at the articulation of the figure. Although she's an animated figure, Scarlett does use a lot of the classic articulation from the G.I. Joe line. Her head is on a ball joint, can rotate left and right while looking up and down. The head articulation is of course hindered slightly by her long ponytail. She does have a ab crunch under this textured layered vest. Really no forward and back movement at that joint. The arms are the classic articulation that can go forward and back, out, bend at the elbow, rotate at the elbow, rotate at the wrist. There is no additional wrist articulation, but if you look at her arms, they're very thin, and I feel it would have been difficult to include that ball joint. Full range of leg articulation, double jointed knees, forward and back ankle pivot, as well as the aforementioned ankle rockers. These work very nicely and help Scarlett stand and get into various positions with or without the use of a stand. Let's come in now and take a look at her face sculpt. As you can see, Scarlett's face is rather animated. It looks very good for a figure of this nature. Hasbro has always had a history of having a hard time capturing the visage of Scarlett, and I think this looks very good to her animated counterpart. I just want to give you a quick look at that textured layered vest I was talking about in the articulation. All in all, this is a very good looking figure, and I would say one of the best Scarlets that's been produced. All in all, I could highly recommend the Scarlet figure. Um, from her articulation, accessories, and sculpting, she's a good addition to the G.I. Joe team. Her face, while animated, isn't that angular look that we saw in the cartoon, and she would work well in your generic G.I. Joe team. Believe it or not, there's a good chance you can still find this figure on shelves, as with the delay of G.I. Joe Retaliation, some stores are stocking older um, 30th anniversary, Pursuit of Cobra, what have you figures. So, for Scarlett, it's your old pal Chuck, and I'll see you next time.